The sound of Seattle's autumn rain beating against the windows deepened the silence in the depths of Emily Harrison's heart. Even though 3 months had passed since she lost her husband David to cancer, she still couldn't fully accept that reality. Though she kept busy running her IT company, Harrison Technologies, the fortune she'd built through her husband's inheritance and her own business couldn't fill the void left by lost love. "Mom, are you crying again?" 10-year-old Jacob looked up from his homework with worry, watching his mother with concern. He had inherited his father's sharp powers of observation and noticed before his mother could wipe away her tears. Emily hurriedly pressed a hand towel to her eyes. "I'm fine, Jake. Just got something in my eye." Jacob shook his head. "Ever since Dad died, you always look so sad." "I'm lonely too, but I'm worried because you seem even lonelier." This child's kindness and intelligence sometimes made her chest tighten. As Emily stroked her son's hair, thinking about how to respond, the doorbell rang. When she opened the door, her mother Margaret stood there with a worried expression. Her mother had taken to checking on her daughter 3 times a week. "Emily, you look pale. Are you eating properly?" Margaret entered the house without hesitation and began checking the contents of the refrigerator. For her parents, who lived modestly, their daughter's luxurious lifestyle was sometimes uncomfortable, but their love for family remained unchanged. "Mom, I'm fine. Work is going well, and Jake is doing fine too." "I'm not talking about work. I'm talking about you." Margaret placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Ever since David died, you've been blaming yourself. But that boy's illness wasn't your fault." Just then, her father Robert appeared from the back entrance. "Emily, you look tired." "Jacob, how's the homework coming along?" "Grandpa." Jacob ran to his grandfather. "I'm studying fractions now. It's hard, but I'm starting to understand." Robert patted his grandson's head while keeping an eye on his daughter's condition. "Emily, I have a suggestion. How about the whole family goes camping next weekend? Claire wants to participate with her family too." Emily's sister Claire lived in a downtown apartment with her husband Michael and their 8-year-old daughter Sophia, leading a middle-class life. Unlike her sister, Claire was a stay-at-home mom devoted to her family, but lately she'd been envying her sister's wealth and success more and more. "Camping?" Emily frowned. "I'm not in the mood for that right now." "That's exactly why," Margaret interjected. "You're keeping everything bottled up inside. If you spend time with family in nature, your mood will surely change. It would be good for Jacob too." Jacob's eyes lit up. "Mom, I want to go camping. I want to play in the stream with Sophia and roast marshmallows over a campfire." Seeing her son smile, Emily's heart felt a little lighter. It was true that lately she'd been buried in work and grief, not spending enough time with Jacob. Time with family might be what they both needed. "All right. But I don't think I can prepare anything." "Don't worry," Robert smiled gently. "Claire and Michael will get all the camping gear ready. You just need to bring a change of clothes. I've reserved a quiet campsite deep in the mountains. There's no cell service, so you can completely disconnect from daily life."
Can you imagine making $10,000 a month just from YouTube, all from home? That's exactly what I did with Reddit Stories. No face, no voice. Check the link in the description if you're curious.
Margaret took her daughter's hand. "Emily, sometimes forget about work and spend time with family. David would want you to be happy." Emily gazed out the window. The rain had stopped, and the evening sun was peeking through the clouds. Perhaps time with family would be a new beginning for her and Jacob. She took a deep breath and smiled genuinely for the first time in a long while. "Thank you, Dad, Mom. Let's go camping." The Pine Ridge campground, deep in the Cascade Mountains, was picture-perfect in its beauty. On a weekend afternoon, 3 cars made their way down the gravel road and arrived at the green campsite spread beneath blue skies. Emily, along with her son Jacob, was looking forward to this family reunion. "Wow, it's so beautiful." Jacob jumped out of the car, amazed by the surrounding scenery. Beyond the campsite, surrounded by tall pine trees, flowed a crystal-clear stream, and snow-capped mountains stretched into the distance. Claire and Michael, along with their daughter Sophia, got out of the next car. Claire looked at her sister's face with concern, seeing her for the first time in a while. "Emily, have you lost weight? Are you okay?" "Thank you, Claire. I'm really happy you invited us." Emily hugged her sister. She had indeed lost her appetite recently and dropped weight, but her heart felt light for the first time in a while with the anticipation of spending time with family. Michael began efficiently unloading luggage. As a construction worker, he was proud of his strength and was a reliable presence. "Emily, leave the tent set up to me. You just relax." No, I'll help too. Jake and I want to do something useful." Robert and Margaret also got out of the last car. Her father carried a large cooler, and her mother carefully held a basket containing homemade potato salad and pie. "Everyone, good work. Now, let the camping begin," Margaret called out cheerfully. Setting up the tents turned out to be more fun than expected. Watching Jacob and Sophia follow the adults' instructions, hammering pegs and pulling ropes, was heartwarming. Emily laughed genuinely for the first time in a long while. "Mom, look. I can hammer pegs by myself." Jacob proudly raised his small hammer. "Very good, Jake. Dad would be proud of you too." The moment Emily said this, a brief silence fell. Everyone was remembering David. But Sophia broke the silence. "Aunt Emily, Uncle David is watching us from heaven, isn't he?" The innocent question from the 8-year-old brought tears to Emily's eyes. But this time it wasn't from sadness, but from gratitude. "Yes, Sophia. I'm sure he's watching over us." In the evening, Michael and Robert worked together to start a campfire. Orange flames danced, and the pleasant crackling of wood filled the air. Margaret grilled the marinated chicken she'd brought, and its savory aroma was mouth-watering. "Mom's homemade potato salad is the best as always," Claire said with satisfaction. "I should get the recipe," Emily smiled at her mother. "I've been wanting to cook more with Jake lately." After dinner, the children began roasting marshmallows on sticks over the campfire. Jacob and Sophia were competing to see who could toast theirs to the perfect golden brown. "Look, Grandpa. I got it perfectly toasted." Sophia proudly showed off her freshly roasted marshmallow. "Wonderful, Sophia. You could become a genius chef," Robert patted his granddaughter's head. As night fell, the mountain sky revealed a canopy of stars that could never be seen in urban areas. Emily wrapped herself in a blanket and searched for constellations with Jacob. "Mom, what's that bright star?" "That's Venus. It's also called the evening star." Michael used a star app to show everyone the positions of the North Star and Cassiopeia. Claire felt proud of her husband's knowledge while feeling relieved to see her sister so relaxed for the first time in a while. "Emily, it's been so long since we've all spent time together like this." "It really has. I may have forgotten what's important because I was so busy." The next morning, Emily woke to the babbling of the stream and the call of California's scrub jays. She felt refreshed as she poked her head out of the tent to find that Michael had already made morning coffee. "Good morning, Emily. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, I really slept soundly for the first time in ages. These natural sounds are so soothing." While breakfast was being prepared, the children began playing in the stream, dipping their feet in the water. Though the water was cold, Jacob and Sophia squealed with delight as they searched for small fish and aquatic insects. "Mom, look! There are little trout!" Jacob shouted excitedly. "You're right. This stream water is very clean." Emily also approached the stream and peered into the water with the children. The aroma of pancakes and bacon that Claire and Margaret were cooking wafted over. The way the entire family naturally divided roles and prepared breakfast was truly ideal family time. "Everyone, breakfast is ready," Margaret called out. While sitting around the breakfast table, Robert made a suggestion. "How about hiking this morning and playing in the stream this afternoon? The weather is perfect." "That's a wonderful idea, Dad," Emily agreed. "Jake needs the exercise too." Watching the whole family enjoy breakfast with smiles, Emily felt a small hope stirring in the depths of her heart. The next morning, Emily woke to birdsong. She felt an indescribable peace in the silence coming from outside the tent. Looking at the clock, it was 7 a.m. Savoring the joy of waking naturally for the first time in a while, she gazed at her sleeping son's face. Jacob seemed to be sleeping more deeply than usual, perhaps from the previous night's excitement. "Jake, wake up. Today looks like it'll be another wonderful day." As she gently woke her son, Emily poked her head outside the tent. She couldn't hear any sounds from the other family tents yet. Everyone must still be sleeping. "Mom, I'm hungry," Jacob said, rubbing his sleepy eyes as he sat up. "Yes, let's take a morning walk, just the two of us before everyone wakes up. Let's climb that little hill beyond the stream. I'm sure we'll see a lovely view." Mother and son quickly got ready and quietly left the campsite. Walking through the misty forest, Emily truly felt relaxed from the bottom of her heart for the first time in a while. "Mom, look! There's a deer over there," Jacob whispered excitedly, pointing. Indeed, between the trees, they could see a beautiful deer quietly grazing. Mother and son held their breath and watched the scene. The view from the hilltop was breathtakingly beautiful. The morning sun illuminated the mountains, and below they could see their campsite looking small. Emily hugged Jacob while trying to etch this moment into her heart. "I wish Dad could have seen this view too," Jacob murmured softly. "I'm sure he can see it." "Dad is always watching over us," Emily answered, stroking her son's hair. After enjoying about an hour's walk, the two returned to the campsite. However, the scene that greeted them was beyond their comprehension. The campsite was completely silent. "Huh? Where are everyone's tents?" Jacob asked in a confused voice. Emily also looked around in disbelief. The family tents that had definitely been there last night, the 3 cars, the camping equipment, everything had vanished without a trace. All that remained were the table and chairs they had used, and the dying embers of the campfire. "Mom! Dad!" Emily called out frantically. "Claire! Michael!" But there was no answer. Only the forest's silence swallowed her voice. "Mom, what does this mean? Where did everyone go?" Fear began to creep into Jacob's voice. Emily tried to stay calm so as not to make her son anxious, despite her own confusion. There must be some reason. Maybe they went to town to shop. But even the 10-year-old could tell this explanation was unnatural. Why would everyone need to go out together, leaving them behind? Why without saying a word? As Emily approached the table, she noticed a small piece of paper placed there. With trembling hands, she picked it up to find a short message written in familiar handwriting. Goodbye. Thank you for everything. The writing was in Claire's handwriting. And the smiley face at the end made the strangeness of the situation stand out even more. Mom, what does it say? Emily couldn't show the note to her son. Instead, she shoved it into her pocket. It's nothing, Jake. This must be some misunderstanding. But in Emily's mind, a terrible reality was gradually becoming clear. This wasn't an accident. It was planned. Mom, why don't you try calling them on your cell phone? Jacob suggested. Emily hurriedly took out her cell phone, but the screen showed no service. As Robert had said yesterday, cell signals didn't reach this deep in the mountains. What had been a luxury for enjoying family time yesterday had now become a desperate barrier. No service. But it's okay, this must be some mix-up. Emily desperately tried to find a rational explanation. But Jacob's sharp observation skills sensitively picked up on the fear his mother was trying to hide. Mom, this is, on purpose, isn't it? Jacob's voice was shaking. They left us behind on purpose, didn't they? Her son's words hit the nail on the head. Emily could no longer hide the reality. She knelt down to Jacob's eye level and grabbed his shoulders. Jake, I can't understand exactly what's happening, but it seems we're now alone in this forest, just the two of us. Why? Why would family do such a thing? Tears welled up in Jacob's eyes. Emily didn't have an answer either. She couldn't understand why the family who had warmly embraced them until last night had intentionally left them stranded in the forest. The two began checking what supplies remained. A tent and sleeping bags, a small amount of water and energy bars, a few matches. Were these intentionally left behind, or was it by chance? Mom, what should we do? Emily hugged her son and answered as if convincing herself. It's okay, Jake. We're going to survive. We'll hang on until help comes. But deep in her heart, terrible doubts were emerging. If this was planned, help might never come. As the sun began to rise high, Emily had to face reality. They had truly been left stranded in the forest. By their beloved family. Mom, I believe in you, Jacob gripped his mother's hand tightly. We'll be okay, right? At her son's brave words, Emily nodded while holding back tears. From this moment on, she had to live not as a widow lost in grief, but as a mother who would protect her son at all costs. Yes, Jake. We will survive. And we'll uncover the truth. On the 7th night, a violent thunderstorm struck the mountain. Emily and Jacob huddled together in the small cave they had discovered 3 days earlier. Outside, thunder roared and lightning split the darkness. Mom, I'm scared of the thunder, Jacob clung to his mother. It's okay, Jake. I'm here with you, Emily held her son close while battling her own fears. Over this past week, the two had overcome trials they never could have imagined. For the first 2 days, they drank stream water and carefully shared the remaining energy bars. On the 3rd day, when the food ran out, Emily desperately searched for edible wild plants and nuts. Fortunately, the knowledge she'd learned in Girl Scouts as a child proved useful. On the morning of the 4th day, when Jacob developed a high fever, Emily nearly despaired. But she kept cooling her son's forehead with towels chilled in the stream and managed to bring down the fever. "Mom, I don't think I can walk anymore," Jacob whispered weakly on the evening of the 5th day. "Don't give up, Jake. Dad is watching over us. Help will surely come." Emily tried to believe her own words, but despair was spreading in the depths of her heart. Her cell phone battery had already died, and all means of communication with the outside world were completely cut off. On the morning of the 8th day, the thunderstorms stopped, but new disaster awaited. The stream had swollen, making their usual path impassable. While trying to find a detour, Emily slipped and nearly fell off a steep cliff. "Mom!" Jacob's scream echoed through the valley. Emily desperately clung to the rocks and somehow avoided falling. But in that moment, something changed within her. To protect her son, she had to overcome any hardship. She couldn't die in this forest. "I'm okay, Jake. Mom is strong." Emily climbed back up the bloody rocks and returned to her son. Jacob hugged his mother with tears streaming down his face. "Mom, I'm not scared anymore. I'll be okay as long as I'm with you." On the 9th day, the two found new hope. They discovered smoke rising from above the cliff. It had to be a sign of people. However, to reach there, they would have to climb a treacherous mountain path. Jacob was barely able to walk anymore, but Emily started climbing with her son on her back. "Mom, aren't I heavy?" "Not at all. You're my treasure." On the afternoon of the 10th day, they finally discovered the source of the smoke. It was an abandoned forest ranger station. But there was no one inside, and the radio was broken. "What should we do, Mom? We won't give up. There must be a way." Emily thoroughly searched the cabin. And she found an old signal mirror. With this, if a helicopter or airplane passed by, they could send a rescue signal. On the 11th day, that opportunity finally arrived. The sound of a helicopter could be heard in the distance. Emily hurriedly took out the mirror and kept reflecting sunlight toward the helicopter to send signals. "Mom, look. The helicopter is heading this way." Hope returned to Jacob's voice. Indeed, the helicopter had noticed their signal and began circling above the cabin. "We're saved, Jake. We survived." On the morning of the 12th day, the rescue team finally arrived. Emily and Jacob were transported by rescue helicopter to the nearest hospital. They were weakened by dehydration and malnutrition, but their lives were not in danger. While receiving an 4 in her hospital bed, Emily answered questions from a police officer. "Mrs. Emily, do you have any idea about your family's whereabouts? When we returned from our morning walk, everyone had disappeared. The cars and luggage, everything had been taken away." The police officer took notes with a serious expression. No missing person report was filed. Rather, your sister Claire Thompson filed an application for your death declaration. Emily was speechless. "Death declaration?" "Yes. It was reported that you had gone missing after leaving a note indicating suicidal intent. Life insurance claim procedures had also been initiated." It was a blood-chilling thought. Her family had intended to kill her. Further investigation revealed that the assets of your company, Harrison Technologies, were also being processed for inheritance by your sister. Security camera footage from the bank shows Claire submitting forged documents. Emily's hands trembled. Forged documents. Forged will. It stated that you were leaving all your assets to your sister. Handwriting analysis confirmed it was clearly fake. The officer continued. Furthermore, when we examined emails from your parents Robert and Margaret, we found evidence they had discussed this plan in advance. Emily held her head. My parents too. We found multiple emails with content like, Emily has lost the will to live anyway. It would be merciful if she and her son went together. The hospital room door opened, and Jacob entered in a wheelchair. Though his face still retained childlike features, he had grown significantly during these 12 days. Mom, I heard everyone was arrested. Emily hugged her son. Yes, Jake. But we're alive. That's the most important thing. I can't believe the people who tried to kill us were our family. Jacob's voice mixed sadness and anger. The police officer gave his final report. Claire continued to claim her sister wanted to stay in the mountains herself until the end, but the evidence clearly shows her guilt. All of them will be charged with attempted murder and fraud. Emily gazed out the window. From the hospital window, she could see a beautiful sunset. The same sun had shone on them in that forest too. Mom, now we're a family of just the two of us. Yes, Jake. But maybe real family isn't about blood relations. Family is people who love and support each other. Emily squeezed her son's hand. 3 months later, the courtroom at Seattle County District Court was packed to the rafters. This case, which local media extensively covered as the Montgomery Camp attempted murder case, drew the attention of many people. Emily stood at the witness stand and quietly recounted her experience during those 12 days. Beside her sat Jacob, who had now become his mother's best partner. Defendant Claire Thompson planned to cause the death of her sister and nephew in the forest, the prosecutor stated in a stern tone. The motive is clear. $3 million in life insurance and inheritance of a company with annual revenues of $20 million. Claire, sitting at the defense table, maintained her innocence until the end. But all the evidence was against her. Her sister was depressed and had suicidal thoughts. We simply respected her wishes, Claire's lawyer continued the difficult defense. However, when bank security camera footage was shown in court, murmurs arose from the gallery. The footage showed Claire cheerfully talking with staff while carrying the forged will. Is this the behavior of someone who respected her sister's wishes? The prosecutor pointed at the screen. Robert and Margaret's appearance in court was pitiful. The two, who had once been respected teachers, now sat in the defendant's dock as accomplices to attempted murder. We loved Emily, Margaret testified through tears. But Claire convinced us that Emily has lost the will to live. We should release her from suffering. However, the seized email records revealed that their testimony was false. Email exchanges like Emily's company stock can be sold at high prices. Now is our chance, and, if Jacob goes too, it will look like an accident, had been continuing for a month, the prosecutor read the evidence. Only Michael had admitted guilt early on, testifying that he was drawn into his wife's plan. Claire initially planned to abandon Emily alone. But she said Jacob would be a witness, so both of them. Michael couldn't finish the sentence. On the day of sentencing, Emily awaited the moment from the gallery. Defendant Claire Thompson, 25 years for attempted murder and fraud. Defendants Robert Fields and Margaret Fields, 15 years for accomplice to attempted murder. Defendant Michael Thompson, 10 years for accomplice to attempted murder, suspended sentence of 5 years. Even at the very end, Claire shouted, "My sister chose to stay in the forest herself," but her voice no longer reached anyone's heart. After leaving the courtroom, Emily was surrounded by reporters. "How do you feel right now?" one reporter asked. "I'm sad," Emily answered quietly. But my son and I are alive. That's what matters most. Do you harbor resentment toward your family? More than resentment, I feel sadness. They lost sight of love. Money and property became more important than love. That's the saddest thing of all. That night, Emily and Jacob were having dinner in the living room of their new home. After the incident, they had sold their previous mansion and moved to a smaller but warmer house. "Mom, I'm happy with our family of just the two of us," Jacob said with a smile. "Me too, Jake. Real family is about connections of the heart, not blood relations." Emily gazed out the window. In the yard was a small flower garden she had planted, with colorful flowers blooming. She had also planted roses that David loved. "Dad must be happy that we found happiness, don't you think?" "Yes. Dad protected us. Even in that forest, I'm sure he did." The two held hands and quietly offered prayers, holding hope for a new tomorrow in their hearts. The new life of a mother and son who had learned what true family and true love meant was about to begin.